Alright, hey guys, you gotta love my little title card that I came up with there. I'm gonna have to come up with something a little bit more creative. Alright, so one of the requests that I got, as far as, my kids wanting to learn how to draw something was an eye. And that's actually a really popular thing. A lot of people want to know how to draw. Alright, so first thing that we're gonna go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get a little closer here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to draw a circle. Okay, now I always have my kids start off by drawing a circle to represent your eye socket. Okay, because when we go into portrait drawing later on, it helps them out with the shading around the area between your eye and your nose. Okay, after you have that circle, the next thing you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to sketch in your eye line. So if you were looking at an actual picture of your eye, you might notice that one corner of your eye is lower, or the outside corner of your eye might be higher or lower than the inside corner. Okay, so that line is supposed to connect the inside corner of your eye to the outside corner of your eye. Okay, so after yours looks like this, we're ready to go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright, so as I'm going ahead and looking at the eye, and I always talk about doing observational drawing where you're actually looking at the object that you're drawing. Okay, so I highly recommend at this time go ahead, take a picture of your eye. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to be a real champ here. I'm going to take a picture of my eye as is right now. That was not a great picture, but you know what? It's going to work. Alright, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to move it on the other side so it's easier for me to put my hand down and draw. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm looking at my inside corner and my outside corner of my eye. So if I go ahead and draw a line from my outside corner to my inside corner, my inside corner and outside corner, they're about the same level. Okay, so I need to make sure that this line right here is kind of going straight across. Okay, I'm going to start with the inside corner of my eye. Now I can notice that there's this little triangle shape right here. Okay, so I'm going to start right here, inside corner of my eye. I'm getting that triangle opening. Okay, now if you go ahead and put your finger on your eyelid, you'll notice that when you blink, your upper eyelid is doing all of the movement. It's coming up and down. Your lower eyelid, okay, it barely moves. So when we're going ahead and we're drawing our eye, okay, I'm looking at mine, it comes up, it goes across, okay, and my lower lid, okay, it just barely comes across that eye line. Oops, I'm not going to do that on YouTube. Alright, so, what I am going to go ahead and do is I want to draw a line just to kind of demonstrate that eye line a little bit better, if I can get that figured out. Alright, let's see how good I am with drawing on my phone, guys. Let's do purple. That's a really fat line. Okay, go skinny on that. Okay, so if you see that purple line that I went ahead and I drew in my eye, you can see that upper eyelid, okay? There's a lot more space between where this line right here comes to that eye line than from my lower eyelid to the eye line, okay? So when I go ahead and I'm drawing my lower lid, okay, I'm just coming down just below that line. Okay, and it's just kind of like this subtle little curve up. Okay, now the next part I'm going to go ahead and draw is my iris. The iris is the colored part of your eye. Now you'll notice when you're looking at your eye that usually it goes ahead and it touches the top, okay, and it'll touch the bottom or it'll almost touch the bottom. Okay, your eye is never, or your iris I should say, is never just floating in the middle with white all around it. You really only see that in cartoons or if you're opening your eyes super, super, super freaky wide. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and draw the iris. And I'm looking at how much white is on either side of that iris. Okay, now my iris isn't a complete circle, okay, because I can't see all of it. My eyelid is actually covering the top part of it. Okay, I'm only drawing what I see. Okay, next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to draw my pupil. This picture's a little blurry, but my pupil, I'm looking at the sizing of it, I'm looking at the location of it. Okay, and as I'm drawing, I'm making sure I'm going to go ahead and get those highlights in there as well. Okay, so I've got my pupil, I have my iris. Okay, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is, some of y'all, you'll notice that you have this little crease above the opening of your eye where your eyelid kind of folds back. Not everyone has it, but most people do. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch that in really quick. Okay, I'm looking at how far apart it is from where my line is right here, the opening of my eye, where those eyelashes are, to where that crease is. Okay, now this is really important. That crease, it doesn't connect anywhere. Okay, so I'm making sure that it doesn't touch that line. Alright, I can go ahead and at this point, I can erase that eye line. I don't need it anymore. Okay, what I'm going to go ahead and start doing now is I'm going to go ahead and start adding some value and some shading to it, okay? So with my pupil, I'm going to go ahead and start there first. That's absolute black. Okay, now remember, anytime that you're going ahead shading, you're adding value, you want to go ahead and have absolute black, absolute white, and gradual shades of gray in between. It's that absolute white, absolute black, and those gradual shades of gray in between that go ahead and it really rounds out your form. Okay, and it kind of helps make something look more three-dimensional. Sorry about the glare there on that lead. Okay, hopefully we'll be able to get it working a little bit better in a second here. Let me see if I turn off the light. I'll go ahead and I'll do that at the end for y'all. Okay. So, next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and do the shading for the iris. Now, if you look at your eye really carefully, you'd see that it looks like there's a whole bunch of lines kind of going to the center, especially if you have blue or green eyes, a lighter eye color. If you have really dark brown eyes, you may not be able to see it. But what I like to do is when I'm shading eyes, okay, to get kind of that lined quality that we see in a lot of irises, is I have my pencil go from the outside to the middle and kind of rotate it around like a clock's hands would. Okay, after I have that in, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go around the edge, and you'll notice that there's like kind of a darker ring of pigment around the outside of your iris. Okay, I'm trying to just kind of gradually blend that in. Alright, I'm going to turn off that. Turn off that light for you guys. I think it's a little easier for y'all to see without that light on. Okay, so what you'll go ahead and do is you'll see that there's a darker ring right here. Okay, it kind of gets lighter, and then I've got that absolute black in the center. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. So in our house, we don't have a lot of really great natural lighting. It's a little cloudy today. So I'm still kind of learning how to get the lighting the best for these videos. Alright, so we have a darker ring of color kind of around the outside. It's lighter on the inside. We have our absolute black for our pupil. I'm going to kind of come back in here and darken that up a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and draw this inside corner right in here. And I just kind of like to add just like a little squiggle right there. Okay, usually there's a little bit of a lighter area right in here, a little highlight or a glimmer. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of lightly shade from in there. Alright, next step that we're going to go ahead and do is the farther back something is, typically the darker it is. The closer up it is to you, the lighter it is. Okay, so the farther back something is. Now if you'd go ahead and fill your eye, okay, the middle of your eye, this area right here, is going to be the farthest forward on your face. And then it's going to kind of go back in space as you come over here because it's rounding with your eye. Okay, your eye is a sphere. Alright, and the skin for your eyelid, it goes around that sphere. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and just lightly take my pencil and add a little bit of value down in here. I'm going to darken this area up, kind of make it a little lighter towards the middle. Okay, so I've got darker on the corner there, darker on the corner there. You can see how that's already starting to help make that pop. Okay, now the whole eye socket, the reason why we have that here is because if you're looking, you can see that circular shape kind of taking place around the eye right here, and you can see that it's a little darker in here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is for my eye socket, I'm just going to kind of shade around that area. I know it's not quite the eye, but I think it kind of helps out with the whole piece and just kind of helping that realism a little bit. Okay, I'm going to darken it up just like a little bit over here. Okay, and the key with this, when you're shading, guys, is to make sure you're just kind of barely touching your pencil to the paper. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing up here. Okay, I'm increasing my value for that crease. Okay, so it pops out a little bit more, and I'm kind of noticing where I need to create more contrast to help out with that pop. So the form of the eye really comes across. Okay, now the last thing is if you look at your eye, it's not quite white. The white part of your eye isn't super duper white. And so what we can kind of do to help out with that rounding of it is we can go ahead and just very lightly, very, very lightly, guys, go ahead and just shade the outside corners around here. Okay, if you need to get rid of your pencil marks, I just kind of really lightly tap my eraser. And it kind of helps blend it a little bit better. Okay, so there's an eye without eyelashes. If you want to go ahead and add eyelashes to yours, eyelashes, they're like check marks, okay, where you're going down and up. Okay, imagine that there's a line going halfway down your eye vertically. All your check marks to the right of the eye are going to go to the right. All of your check marks to the left of the eye, they're going to go to the left. Okay, here's what I mean. Okay, when you get to the middle, they'll kind of cross over a little bit. And usually your eyelashes, guys, unless you're fanning them out, you're brushing them out and everything else, they're going to cross over each other at different points, and they're not going to be exact. They're not going to be exactly perfect or exactly spaced out. Okay, if you wanted to go ahead and add an eyebrow to it, okay, the next thing I'd go ahead and do is do not solidly draw on your eyebrow. Just like with your eye, you're going to go ahead and draw the hairs the same direction that you kind of see them going. Your eyebrows don't go straight up and down, guys. They kind of curve around with the curvature of your eye socket. Okay, I'm kind of erasing out where I had that line for my eye socket there, kind of making it a little softer, a little bit more natural, and boom. There we have it. How to draw an eye, guys. Alright, let me know if you guys have anything else you'd like me to go ahead and show you how to draw. Thanks.